Greetings, everyone. This is Jeff Wilkerson, professor of physics at Luther College, bringing you the next in our series of what to look for in the night sky. We're talking about the week of August 26th this time around. We have a relatively favorable moon week, and let's start there. On the evening of the 26th into the morning of the 27th, Monday night into Tuesday, the moon will be about 40% full, and it's joining Jupiter and Mars in the sky. So we're really talking about the morning of the 27th. This region probably gets favorably placed for observing up over the horizon, where you can actually see it. It's not high in the sky by about 1 o'clock in the morning on the 27th. So about 1 o'clock, you'll be able to see a sort of right triangle, Mars to Jupiter. Mars will have opened 6.5 degrees on Jupiter by this point. Remember, they were together just a couple of weeks ago. And so Mars is separated out there about 6.5 degrees, about 5.25 degrees up to the moon. So this sort of right triangle looks like that. And that side's actually shorter than what I've drawn it right there. Let's put it down right there. So that's 5.25 degrees. The moon's a little bit less than half full. By the next night, the moon will have moved over here. So you still got your 6.5, a little more than 6.5 degrees now from Jupiter to Mars. And it's 7.25 degrees on up to the moon that will have waned away till about 30% full on the morning of the 28th. So this will be good to watch here as the moon moves across there. Of course, this depends on where you are observing this in the world, because this is for me where I'm going to be looking at this in the central part of the United States. So as the moon moves across there, it'll make a different orientation with Jupiter and Mars depending on what time you're able to see it where you are in the world. So that's great, but we have a couple other things we can check out now. And so on the evening of the 26th and the morning of the 27th, again, early morning 27th, after midnight anyway, is what we're talking about. Mars is sitting about 1.1 to 1.2 degrees above the Crab Nebula, first object in Messier's catalog, M1. It'll actually have been a little bit closer the night before, the morning before, but it's about 1.1 degrees as Mars is tracking across this direction. That's pretty close, right? Remember, your finger at arm's length is about 1 degree. The Crab Nebula is a supernova remnant from a star that blew up in the year 1054. We know that. There are observations, there are records of observations from astronomers, different places, but largely from China. We have records of this star appearing in the year 1054, a star that blew up very bright out of nowhere, so bright that you could see it in the glow of sunrise and sunset. So it was actually apparent before it was dark and after it was starting to get light in the morning in the year 1054. So we see this supernova remnant from that year. It looked like, so we're going to take a break right there and say it looked like Venus might look in the glow of sunrise or sunset. And now in the evening sky this week, you can see Venus in the glow of sunset. So Venus is now separated from the sun sufficiently that it'll set about an hour after the sun sets. That's good enough to start being able to reliably see it, I think. Use binoculars if you need to, but I think Venus is bright enough like the supernova would have been in the year 1054. Venus is bright enough that I think you can pull that out. And so start looking about 20 minutes, 20 to 40 minutes after sunset. Before that, the glow of the sun's probably too bright to see it easily. After that, it's getting too dangerously close to the horizon. You're going to lose it behind trees and buildings and whatever else you have obscuring your horizon. So look for Venus in the evening sky. Now back to the supernova. These are big high-mass stars that blow up. So these are stars 8 to 10 times more massive than the sun that have a core collapse and there's a shock wave that disrupts the star, and it leaves this nice jagged supernova remnant. This is relatively hard to see, I find. You might be able to see it in binoculars, but it has a relatively low surface brightness, so the telescope tends to want to spread it out too much and wash it out, but you can see it. And this is going to be the easiest time to find it if you don't have a go-to telescope, with Mars sitting right above there. Look for it with your binoculars. If you've got good big binoculars, try to check it out. Otherwise, take your small telescope and toggle just to the south of Mars and see if you can see it. You might even, if you have a nice wide field of view eyepiece, nice low power eyepiece, you might be able to hold Mars at the top of the eyepiece and see the crab in there as well. So that's that night. The next night, Mars will have opened up about 1.5 degrees and have this orientation on the Crab Nebula. So you'll be able to really track Mars moving against the Crab Nebula right there. The moon will have waned to about 30% full, so a third full, And it will be sitting right between two beautiful open star clusters, M35 and M37. These are great open star clusters. Your binoculars are showing about 4 to 5 degrees either direction, above the moon and below the moon on this night. Again, it depends where you are and when the moon's going to be tracking that way through there. So exactly when this is that you'll see that the next night. But the moon, when I've drawn it right here at 1 or 2 in the morning my time, the moon will be sitting between these great open star clusters. You should be able to see them with your binoculars. Your telescope, a small telescope, they'll look like glittering jewels. These are great open star clusters to be able to see in a small telescope. A couple hundred stars, a lot of glittering stars that you can see popping out like jewels in your field of view. So definitely worth checking out and letting the moon guide you there. That's going to be great just to see the moon with those open star clusters. The 29th, into the morning of the 30th, we're way into the morning of the 30th now. We're talking about 3 o'clock in the morning. The moon will be down to about 10 to 15% full, so a nice, thin, beautiful crescent moon, and it'll be sitting here near Castor and Pollux and the twin stars in Gemini. So bright stars, Castor and Pollux, and the moon. You should be able to check that out, so enjoy that in the coming week. The other thing we got for you, so we got the Crab Nebula, the supernova remnant of a large high-mass star that blew up, a couple of beautiful open star clusters, and we got Mars guiding us to these things and the moon guiding us to these things, and we're watching Jupiter, Mars, and the moon there together. Going to go start picking out Venus reliably in the evening sky now for the rest of the fall. And we've been tracking Saturn, remember. Saturn's in retrograde motion, meaning it's moving west against the background stars instead of the normal prograde east. And it's still doing that. It's still retrograding, and you'll be able to see it move. A good week to check it out. Early in the week, we got Phi Aquarii and Chi Aquarii, and that's sort of the pattern. It's going to look something like that. Chi's the fainter star. Phi's the brighter star right there. And it's about Saturn's about 1 1/4 degrees away from Phi. It'll have moved to, by the end of the week, a week later, it'll have moved to 1.5 degrees, and the shape will look a lot different. It's going to be down closer to Chi. And so you can watch that unfold this week as Saturn is still in retrograde motion, moving west against the background stars. It's going to continue to retrograde right through September and on into October. At which point it's going to start to slow down October into November. By the time we get into late November and into December, it'll be noticeably back into prograde motion, moving back this direction. So if you want a long-term project to track this, it's going to move all the way to the other side of Aquarius by then, and then it's going to move back through Aquarius as we get on through December. But that's what we got for you this week. Lots of fun stuff, always something to look at. This is a good week because the moon is faint enough that the moon allows us to think about doing things like looking at the Crab Nebula. Probably later in the week for that, it'd be easier. But looking at the Crab Nebula and the open star clusters, M35 and M37. So that's what we got for you this week. As always, thanks for watching, everybody, and we hope you have a great observing week ahead.